Okay, so you're 40 seconds into a 10-minute countdown clock, and you've just won the right to spend money. The ticket said $130. That was the number on the seat map, the number you budgeted for, the number you said out loud when your friend asked how bad it was going to be. Then you press continue, and the page did the thing every American checkout page does. A service fee appeared, then a facility charge, then an order processing fee, which is apparently different from the service fee, though nobody has ever explained how. The line stacked up like a little staircase under your seat number, and the 130 became a hair over 160, and the clock in the corner kept counting down while you decided whether to be angry about it. You paid. Of course you paid. The clock was running, the seats were disappearing, and the tour comes through once every 3 years. And in your head, the story assembles itself the way it's supposed to. Most of that money goes to the artist. It's their name on the ticket. Some goes to the building, and the fees, the annoying 25% at the end. That's the cost of computers and card processors and whatever it takes to sell 1 million tickets in a morning without the servers melting. It's a reasonable story. Artist, building, computers. Everyone gets their slice, and the slice with your least favorite name on it, the fee, at least pays for something real. Hold that story up to the light, because almost none of it survives. Here's the problem with the story. The thing you bought cost nothing to make. Not almost nothing, functionally nothing. A concert ticket in 2026 is a row in a database and a QR code on your phone. The marginal cost of issuing one more is as close to zero as commerce gets. The show is expensive. The trucks, the crew, the star, the building, all real, all costly. But the ticket itself, the object with the fees stapled to it, is a license. And the 25% surcharge for delivering that license to your phone is several hundred times what the delivery costs. So this video is about the gap and about the company standing in it. By the end, you'll know where the face value actually goes and why the star takes almost all of it. You'll know what a service fee actually buys, and the quiet arrangement underneath it that means the building you sat in gets a cut of the fee you blamed on the ticketing company, which is precisely how everyone involved likes it. You'll know why one corporation ended up as the promoter of the tour, the owner of the venue, the manager of the artist, and the seller of the ticket all at once. And you'll know what 12 jurors concluded about that arrangement in April of 2026 in a verdict that used a word companies spend fortunes to avoid. One warning, same as always. Nobody in this story needs to be a villain. Every player follows their incentives. The incentives just happen to be arranged in a shape that ends with you, a countdown clock, and a staircase of fees. Start with the face value. $130 is the average for a big tour. Polestar clocked the top 100 tours of 2025 at $132 and change. Where does it go? Mostly to the star. Modern touring runs on a promoter model. A company, usually Live Nation, the largest promoter on earth, guarantees the artist a fee for the night, books the building, fronts the production costs, and keeps what's left of ticket sales after everyone's paid. For the biggest acts, what's left is almost nothing. Star headliners command guarantees that swallow the overwhelming majority of the gate because the star is the scarce thing. Nobody drives to an arena for the promoter. Out of the artist's share comes the show itself, and the show is a small touring city. Trucks, buses, riggers, lighting walls, pyro, caterers, insurance, a payroll that runs to hundreds of people a night for a stadium production. The spectacle you actually attended is genuinely expensive to build, night after night in a different city every time. The building takes rent. The crew gets paid. Ticketing costs, the real ones, the servers and the payment rails, exist, and they're modest. Add it up, and here's the strange part. The face value, the part everyone accepts, is a fairly honest number. It funds a real thing at something like its real cost, with a thin promoter margin that's often zero or negative. Live Nation has said out loud for years that it barely makes money promoting concerts, which should stop you for a second. The biggest concert company on earth, happy to break even on concerts. Nobody runs a business that way. unless the concert isn't the business. So, look at the fees, because that's where the business lives. The industry's own numbers put the add-on stack at 21 to 27% of the ticket. The government's landmark study of ticket fees landed on 27% as the average. On your $130 seat, that's $30-something, laid out in line items with names engineered to sound procedural. Service fee, facility charge, order processing. Here's the first thing to understand. Those prices were not built from costs. Processing a card payment costs a couple of percent. Serving a web page costs fractions of a cent. The fee is not a cost recovery mechanism, it's a second price, attached at the moment you're least able to walk away. Seats in hand, clock running, plans already made. Economists call the technique drip pricing. Advertise the number that gets you in the door, collect the real number at the exit. Until May of 2025, when a federal rule finally forced all-in price display for tickets, the advertised price of an American concert ticket was, by design, not the price of the ticket. The industry's own history makes the point better than any economist could. For years, buyers paid a delivery fee to print their ticket at home, on their own paper with their own printer, using their own ink. The charge existed because, at that point in the funnel, refusal was unthinkable. That is not a cost being recovered. That is a moment being priced. And the second thing, you were never told who the fee is for. The checkout page says Ticketmaster, so you blame Ticketmaster. Every fan does, and has for 40 years. But a large slice of that fee doesn't stay with the ticketing company at all. It flows somewhere quieter, through a contract you never see, to a party you'd never suspect. It goes back to the building. This is the arrangement the whole system balances on, so slow down here. Venues don't just tolerate the ticketing company and its hated fees. Venues auction themselves to ticketing companies. Exclusive contracts, 3, 5, 7 years at a time, and the winning bid is measured in money flowing to the venue, signing bonuses up front, and then a rebate, a negotiated share of every service fee collected on every ticket the building sells. The fee you paid at checkout is split, and the building's slice of it is, functionally, extra rent, collected from you, at the register, under the ticketing company's name. Sit with what that means. The venue gets to keep its advertised rent low for promoters and artists because it quietly recoups from ticket buyers at checkout. The ticketing company gets the exclusive right to every ticket in the building, and the fee gets to be enormous because the party setting it and the party hosting the show are both paid more when it's bigger. Nobody at the table has any reason to shrink it. There's even a name for the last piece of the machine. The ticketing company absorbs the hatred. It stands at the checkout, takes the blame for a fee it partly passes through, and has openly worn that role for decades. The designated villain, paid to be booed. Fans scream at the fee collector. The landlord counts the rebate. The system holds. One question should be nagging you. Fine, but competition should fix this. Some other ticketer should walk in, bid lower fees, and win the buildings. Why hasn't that happened since the 1990s? Because the company collecting the fee spent 20 years buying every other seat at the table. Live Nation, after its 2010 merger with Ticketmaster, isn't a ticketing company. It's a stack. It is the largest concert promoter in the world, controlling the tours themselves. It owns or operates hundreds of venues, including the majority of the big amphitheaters where summer tours live. It owns the ticketer, handling, by the government's count, roughly 80% of primary ticketing at major concert venues, and it manages hundreds of artists, taking a percentage of the careers of the very acts it books into the very buildings it tickets. Now run the flywheel. A venue thinking about switching ticketers has to wonder whether Live Nation's tours, the majority of big tours, will still route through its building. An artist weighing a rival promoter needs Live Nation's amphitheaters anyway. A rival ticketer can bid for a building, but it can't bring Beyoncé's calendar with it. Every arm of the company defends the others, and the exclusive contracts, years-long building by building, mean that even when a competitor wins one, the market stays locked for most of a decade at a time. That's why the fee doesn't shrink. Not because processing a payment got harder, but because the fee sits inside a fortress, and the fortress owns the shows, the rooms, the tickets, and a piece of the talent. For 30 years, everyone in the industry knew this shape. Artists complained quietly. Venues signed quietly. Then, in November 2022, the machine made the one mistake America doesn't forgive. It fell over in public. Taylor Swift announced the Eras Tour, and the on-sale collapsed. 14 million people and a swarm of bots hit Ticketmaster's pre-sale in a morning. The queues froze, codes failed, the general sale was canceled outright, and the most famous artist on the planet posted that she'd been assured the system could handle it and that watching it fail was, quote, excruciating. Within weeks, senators who agree on nothing were holding a hearing on one company's grip on live music, the rare hearing where both parties competed to quote song lyrics at a witness. Within 18 months, in May 2024, the Department of Justice and a coalition of states filed suit, asking a court to break Live Nation and Ticketmaster apart. The complaint read like this video: the flywheel, the exclusive contracts, the fee rebates, the retaliation. The trial opened on March 2, 2026, and then it did something antitrust trials almost never do. It split. Mid-trial, the DOJ cut a settlement with Live Nation, and 33 state attorneys general looked at the deal, said no, and kept going in front of the jury alone. 6 weeks later, on April 15, 2026, the jury came back. Liable on every count they were handed. Monopolization of primary ticketing. Illegal tying of the promotion, venue, and ticketing arms. The word the company had spent 34 years and a great many lawyers avoiding, said out loud by 12 ordinary ticket buyers: monopoly. What the remedy looks like, a breakup, a rewrite of the venue contracts, is still being fought over as I read this. The structure you bought your last ticket inside is, as of this year, legally an illegal one. While the lawyers argue, it's worth knowing the fee has a second act, because the checkout page isn't where the extraction ends. There's the secondary market: StubHub, SeatGeek, Vivid Seats, and Ticketmaster's own resale wing, where tickets flipped by brokers carry fee stacks of their own, routinely another 25 to 30% on top of a marked up price. When a hot tour sells out in minutes, a meaningful slice of it rematerializes an hour later at triple face, and the platforms take their cut coming and going, same seat, taxed twice. There's dynamic pricing, where face value itself floats upward with demand in real time, so the honest part of the ticket starts behaving like the fee, priced at whatever clears, then dressed in the language of markets. Congress did take one swing at the machine. A 2016 law banned the scalper bots that vacuum up on sales by the tens of thousands. Enforcement since has been rare enough to count on one hand. And the bots, as 14 million Swift fans discovered one November morning, do not read statutes. And there's the part nobody prices at all: the pre-sale economy. Verified fan registrations, credit card early access, fan club windows, a lottery system that converts your data, your loyalty, and your bank's marketing budget into a chance to pay the fees sooner. The line outside the box office didn't disappear. It moved inside your phone, and admission to the line became a product too. None of this is hidden anymore. It came out in a Senate hearing, a federal complaint, and a courtroom in Manhattan. The remarkable thing is how little of it needed to be secret in the first place. The contracts were signed, the rebates were negotiated, the fees were printed on your receipt, one procedural sounding line at a time. The machine never lied to you, it just itemized. Now buy the same ticket somewhere else, because the comparison is the tell. In the UK and across the EU, the price on the listing must, by law, be the price at checkout. Drip pricing. The American ritual of watching fees materialize after you've fallen in love with the seats is treated as what it is, a deceptive practice, and banned. A British fan sees the all-in number on the first screen, or the seller has broken consumer law. America only got its version of that rule in May 2025, 4 decades into the fee era, and the fee didn't shrink when it became visible. It just stopped ambushing you. European tickets also simply run cheaper. Same global tours, same production trucked across the continent, but more promoters competing, more municipal and independent venues, fewer exclusive ticketing lockups, and in some countries, legal caps that pin resale to face value. The scarce thing, the star, costs the same everywhere. The machinery around the star costs dramatically less the moment no single company owns every layer of it, which is the cleanest way to see the American concert ticket for what it is. The face value prices the show, and the show is real everywhere. The stack on top prices the structure, the exclusive contracts, the rebated fees, the flywheel, and the structure is a choice. Other countries made a different one, and their checkout pages are shorter. You didn't pay $30 extra because your night out was $30 better. You paid it because, between you and the stage, someone built a toll booth and then bought the road. So, where did your $160 actually go? The face value, the honest $130, mostly became the show. The star's guarantee, the trucks, the crew, the building's official rent, a promoter margin so thin the biggest promoter on earth calls concerts a break-even business. That part of the receipt works the way you assume the whole receipt did, and the night it bought was real. The staircase on top went to the structure, a service fee priced at whatever the moment would bear, split by private contract between the ticketer everyone blames and the venue nobody suspects. A facility charge that is rent wearing a lanyard, a processing fee for a process that costs pennies, 20-something%, not for the music, for the exclusive right to be the one selling it to you. And the reason it stayed that way for 30 years is the reason a jury just gave a name to. The company at the checkout also promoted the tour, owned the amphitheater, managed the artist, and rebated the building. So every door you might have walked through to escape the fee led back to the same landlord. That's the thing to understand about this ticket. The concert was never overpriced. The concert was the bargain. The star is scarce, the spectacle is real, and $130 for 2 hours of it is roughly what it costs to exist. Multiply that honest side of the ledger across just the top 100 tours, and it still clears $9 billion a year. People, it turns out, will pay real money for the one thing that can't be streamed. The scarcity was real, the fees were engineered, and the difference between those two things is what 12 jurors finally itemized.